So lads, Indiana Fever fans are just different. They are just different.
All you need to do to win an award is write about Caitlin Clark. According to insiders, the basketball community is witnessing the rise of a passionate fan base that is revolutionizing the WNBA scene. This dedicated group of supporters has shown their power by pushing Clark from third to first place in the Webby Awards, accomplishing this feat in just a few hours.
We saw Caitlin Clark Muse win the Muse tournament, so much so that somebody tried to bot the vote so that Caitlin Clark didn't win the Muse tournament. And the hell the Muse tournament is literally just a Twitter voting thing. Like, people were buying botted votes to try and make sure Caitlin Clark didn't win.
You'll witness how this one incident sparked a social media revolution, quickly drawing a fan base as passionate and fierce as Taylor Swift's infamous Swifties. Some players have reacted differently to this new intensity in women's basketball, while others, like Angel Reese, welcome it. On social media, Patboy Boland, the Indiana Fever's play-by-play commentator, casually mentioned that the team's digital crew had received a nomination for the prestigious Webby Awards. Things took an unexpected turn when Caitlin Clark's first season was nominated for Best Use of Video.
Our digital team is up for numerous Webby Awards, many of them featuring Caitlin Clark. Among them were an extremely tight race for Best Video. Caitlin Clark's historic rookie season has 28% of the vote. The leader has 30% of the vote.
Indeed, it's true. With 28% of the vote, Clark's entry in Boland's first post about the nomination landed in third place, while the leader had a small but noticeable 30% lead. Clark wasn't even in second place, a position that's typically hard to close in online voting competitions. Based on the voting trends, it seemed like she was practically out of the running.
Obviously, look, this is the vote. You can look at this category on the Webby Awards. I don't even know what the hell the Webby Awards are.
Then, the shocking and unanticipated turn of events occurred. After reading Boland's post, the Fever supporters sprang into action, turning the tournament upside down in a matter of hours, not days or weeks. With record-breaking voter turnout, Clark's candidacy surged from third to first place.
They were in third place when this tweet happened. They're now winning.
People were stunned by the sudden shift in the vote percentages, with comments like, "Is this even possible?" and "I've never seen anything like this." Social media lit up like a Christmas tree, as people struggled to comprehend what they were witnessing in real time. Many compare the mobilization to the most successful fan networks in entertainment, despite the fact that it was happening in women's basketball.
Moved from third to first place within like 2 hours of this tweet. It is mad.
This fan response was revolutionary in its speed. The spike happened so quickly that it completely shattered the norms of online voting contests. In a time frame that most marketing experts would consider impossible, the Fever supporters had a decisive impact on the outcome.
Everything is just voting for Caitlin Clark. We're only 2 points behind the leader in terms of percentage points, and now all of a sudden it has flipped from third to first. You're seeing it all on Twitter.
The magnitude and speed of this mobilization set it apart. This kind of sudden, overwhelming response is shifting how people perceive the women's basketball fan base. Supporters from all walks of life united in a massively coordinated campaign to back Caitlin Clark, and the Indiana Fever's Webby vote surge, all within a matter of hours. This demonstrated the growing popularity of anything linked to Clark or the Fever. Fans showed up and took over with a passion that's impossible to ignore. Now, fans are engaging with women's basketball with the same fervor and intensity typically seen in major men's sports or iconic entertainment fan bases like Taylor Swift Swifties or K-pop stans, even though the most well-known WNBA stars haven't experienced this kind of instant support. This is a shift from what was once believed.
All you have to do while being up for an award or anything is to just, make it an award for Caitlin Clark, and the fans will be going absolutely berserk in terms of their voting, and they can seemingly win every.
Consider the impact on television ratings, ticket demand, and product sales if Fever supporters can change the outcome of an award competition in a matter of hours. This highlights a level of fan power that could radically alter the game of women's basketball. When I say this is the Swifties of basketball, I mean it. The Clark effect is so powerful that experts are drawing comparisons between how a sport unexpectedly gains a following with the same level of commitment, preparation, and quick thinking as Taylor Swift Swifties. This comparison would have seemed unimaginable just a few months ago. A significant shift in how women's sports fandom operates is already underway, with WNBA commentators now officially referring to Fever fans as the Swifties of basketball.
Like, we can never forget that this happens. Like, it's hard to believe, like, it's hard to just wrap my head around what is happening. Like, this was less than 3 months ago. It has been one of the wildest years ever.
This is unprecedented fan support for the WNBA. A player's renown in sports typically grows over years, or even decades, as their influence and fan base expand. However, Clark's fans have completely disrupted that timeline, setting a new standard for fan power that is astounding even to veterans.
It is like an equivalent to Swifties. And I mean that. Like, that is the best way I can describe it, is that it is like a takeover of the Swifties.
Similar to how Swifties plan for concert ticket sales, the level of cooperation among Clark's fans is truly remarkable. After Clark's appearance in a commercial last month, fans shared videos, made jokes, and boosted interaction numbers. These actions coincided with major NBA events, and within hours, Clark Nation had gained widespread popularity. What's even more astonishing is that this is happening during what should be the quietest period of Clark's career. For Clark, the off-season has become the most intense spotlight of her life, even though rookie interest typically fades during this time. Fans study her training videos, watch her advertisements, and create content based on her every move, even when there are no games. For most WNBA players, the engagement numbers during this downtime often surpass those seen during playoff games. Fever fans show the same unwavering support whenever an opportunity arises to back Clark or the team.
Like, if you have online polls, like, you better believe that there would be and Taylor Swift was up for the greatest artist of all time, the Swifties would go and rig it. It's like the K-pop fans.
Swifties have mastered the art of turning individual passion into powerful collective action. Their unwavering devotion to their hero is evident in their ability to defend them against criticism and mobilize thousands of people in mere minutes when needed.
Like, we also can't forget with the K-pop fans that like, the K-pop fans randomly just started voting Andrew Wiggins, and Andrew Wiggins got an all-star because of the K-pop fans. And this is like that. This is genuinely like that.
In women's basketball, a sport that has struggled for decades to gain widespread recognition despite featuring incredible athletes and captivating stories, this phenomenon is particularly noteworthy.
And also, I actually think that the all-star vote next season is going to be Caitlyn, obviously, one. I think number 2 is probably going to be Aaliyah again. Kelsey Mitchell in all-star voting will probably go up to 3. If I'm not mistaken, Alyssa Smith had more votes than Kelsey Mitchell.
Insiders are watching in awe as early signs suggest that Clark could become the top all-star vote-getter as a rookie, an unprecedented feat in professional basketball. This would be a monumental achievement, one that could reshape our perception of WNBA fan participation. The WNBA community is now debating whether this fan base will translate into significant success in all-star voting.
Because I have a weird feeling that the Fever fans voting for all-stars are going to vote the Fever starting 5 and the Fever bench. Like, we are going to see, and I mean this, we are going to see Kate Martin in the top 10 voting again.
While many coaches and veterans welcome the excitement and attention, not everyone is thrilled. Players like Angel Reese, as seen in her social media comments, seem frustrated by the WNBA hierarchy being disrupted by this shift in fan power. Sources further claim that Fever fans are uniting to support the team as a whole, not just Clark. Given the intensity of this fan movement, several Fever players might also be named All-Stars.
They are just different. And we've seen this stuff like Erica Wheeler's, like, the amount of things she ended up getting from Fever fans, like money towards her charity.
When Erica Wheeler launched her charity effort, she expected the typical modest support that WNBA players usually receive. However, what unfolded took everyone by surprise. The charity organizers were overwhelmed by the sheer number of Fever fans who showed up. What began as a $10,000 goal to raise money for inner-city youth projects ended up surpassing $75,000 in donations, with volunteer participation tripling expectations. In addition to influencing online polls, this trend is having unforeseen effects in people's personal lives. One Seattle donor shared, "I've never been to Indianapolis, but the Fever community inspired me to be part of something bigger than basketball." This act of generosity, spread across the country, highlights how Fever fandom transcends geographic boundaries and is rapidly growing across the U.S.
We at Houston, and the trajectory has changed. The world is watching us, and of course, we got to shout out Caitlin Clark. She has a big part of that, of why the world is watching us. We gonna give her flowers. She is who she is. That's a motherfucker. We gonna just put it out in the air.
Numerous members of the WNBA media continue to downplay the events, claiming that the euphoria is temporary. Some commentators even suggest that this outpouring of support is just a passing fad that will soon fade. However, Wheeler's initiative is far from the only charitable effort affected by the Fever's fan base. All of them are now receiving unprecedented levels of support. Player foundations, which once struggled, are seeing donations that would rival those of established NBA charities. Meanwhile, community service events that typically attracted modest crowds are now packed with passionate supporters eager to donate their time and resources.
They're watching for other players too, and it's the league didn't grow because of Caitlin and all this stuff, and then you go and see all of these situations that are happening, and the only thing you can say is whether or not you agree the league only grew because of Caitlin or not, the Caitlin Clark fans are not only good for the game, they are here to stay.
These dismissive opinions fail to reflect the reality. Rather than following the typical pattern of a quick spike and drop in sports excitement, the engagement metrics tell a completely different story. All measurable metrics are steadily rising, and analysts are closely monitoring these trends. Instead of declining, social media activity, charitable contributions, and community involvement are increasing week by week.
We genuinely may not see again in sports, and it is always so funny looking at the WNBA media trying to almost put a stop to this.
Supporters of the Fever are proving that, contrary to what critics have claimed for decades, women's basketball can generate as much passionate fan interaction as any major sport. The passion, dedication, and real-world impact of women's sports fans are challenging long-held stereotypes and actively redefining what's possible through their collective strength. This continued support raises an important question. Can this fan power fundamentally alter the landscape of women's basketball? Does the Fever phenomenon signal a shift in how women's sports are perceived and engaged with? Other states beyond Indiana are noticing this change. Other WNBA teams are studying the Fever fan base, recognizing how these fan connection and community-building tactics can be implemented league-wide. The Connecticut Sun are already testing similar strategies, and the Seattle Storm are launching initiatives aimed at cultivating the kind of devoted community that's flourishing in Indiana.
Ollie's article in GQ, there's a difference between great players and phenomenons. No one ever said Caitlin Clark was no one ever said there weren't ever great players for Caitlin Clark. There was never phenomenons, not in my lifetime, with women's basketball. And I went to UConn, so I've seen plenty of great players, but nobody's ever moved the needle in my lifetime like this.
While some veterans may feel intimidated by this shift in fan power, Fever supporters have revolutionized women's basketball fandom and set a new paradigm that will reshape the WNBA. The real question now is how other WNBA teams will adapt and cultivate their own passionate fan bases, not whether Clark is too well-liked. Women's basketball has long needed this change. Do you think other teams will be able to replicate the Fever's fan mobilization strategy, or will it remain the only successful model in women's basketball?